Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. Let's get straight to that intro. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that I stay kicking. And I appreciate the support. We are back, right? So what the hell is going on, man? It is 2026 and you have Nortenos and Southsiders calling each other out for a fade in a boxing ring. Man, how times have changed, right? Will this ever happen? Well, lately the word on the streets is Thumpz from Sacramento versus Compa Raider from Southern California, right? Allegedly, both of these guys are still in the mix, man. To the degree of active that they are, I can't call it like an alcoholic, but one thing I do know for sure is they're writing graffiti all over the bus, right? Thumpz went pretty viral a while back for programming and presenting himself in Los Angeles. I didn't think it was much of an issue, man. I think it was someone that went down to Southern California to handle business, not to fight anybody, not to disagree with anybody, not to disrespect anybody, but to literally go down and handle his business like a man. And he did that. Now, of course, Thumpz is a little bit different. Thumpz will speak his mind, right? Thumpz will do it in a Norteño fashion. I'll just say it like that, man. He has been indoctrinated and educated to a point where he has some chip on his shoulder. He has animosity towards the Southern side, not the other side. I get it. I respect it, man. I understand everyone moves differently. You know, when you're in for a penny, in for a pound, when you're gang related, when you dedicate yourself to a cause and to a movement, you full-fledged believe that movement is superior to all others. La primera ese. And that's straight up what it is. But at the same time, right, when you're going to someone else's city, someone else's territory, someone else's barrio, or whatever the case may be, you always need to do it in a respectful manner because that's the way I was taught, and I'm sure Thumpz was as well, the way Norteños carry themselves. Now, it's a little bit different on social media and the internet lately. Now, man, the disrespect has escalated to an all-new high. People are disrespecting each other on the internet, I mean, day after day. In fact, I shouldn't even mention this character's name, but man, I feel no other reason than to mention his name. Neil to Zod. Wow. That dude right there is the most disrespectful Southsider I've ever seen in my life. I understand how Southerners will throw around the word buster continuously and constantly because they are taught that's just what to do. Not usually Southerners from Southern California, but upstaters, as well as other people, man. And that buster word gets thrown around a lot. And to be honest with you, man, when I was educated as a Norteño, the buster word never hurt anybody. We understood what it meant. We understood that it was a way to try to disrespect the Northern cause. But at the end of the day, if you wasn't no buster, then you didn't have to worry about it, right? We kind of embraced it. In the words of BFD, he's 114% buster. I get it. I have the same thing tatted on me. The Norteños took that disrespect and turned it into the N-word, basically, right? They did the same thing the brothers did with the N-word, man. They embraced the disrespect and the hate, and they utilized it in a different fashion. But that dude, Neil Desai, man, he overdoes it. Chap this, chap that, buster this, buster that. Like, that guy wants to hurt a Northerner so bad, but he ain't the one trying to fight Thumpz. Compa Raider is. Now, let's get to Compa Raider. Compa Raider is a personality. I've always liked Compa Raider, man. He's funny. He's intelligent from time to time, right? Albeit he has disrespected me in the past, has had a lot to say about people that are non-active. You know, hey, to each their own. And like I said, man, if that's the way that you rock, if that's the way that you roll, then get your motherfucking Judas Priest on. That's it. It ain't no big thing. But at the same time, I got to respect the fact that Compa Raider has stepped up and has challenged Thumpz to a boxing match. Not literally a fight in the streets. not some gang banging shit, but literally a boxing match. And why? Why do you want to box Thumpz from Sacramento? Is it because he's a Norteño and because people are talking about him and because you see it as a way to chase that clout? Or is it because you actually have some animosity towards some of the things that, Thumpz has said? Now, don't get it twisted. Thumpz did do a little bit of disrespect, but that's the same thing that Neil Dezad does every day, right? He literally went, and I'm not backing his play on it. I didn't think it was cool. I figure if you're in LA, man, and you're feeling some type of way, then you feel some type of way while you're right there, right? But he did go back to the No Paperwork podcast, and he did disrespect the Southsiders a little bit too much, right? And anytime you disrespect anyone is too much. But he did. So there's a gang of Southsiders feeling some type of way. But here comes the champion of them, right? The real champion, Compa Raider. And we know Compa Raider, man, from time to time, he looks like he's in a messed up situation. He looks like he might be high. Maybe that's just his character to act crazy. But I mean, let's not get it twisted. Compa Raider be on that different shit. And if anyone was going to step up and champion the Southsider movement, it was going to be Compa Raider. He decided that if for no other reason, he'll take that fade. But here's the true question: why? Why is it a North and South thing? Is it to prove that Southerners are harder than Northerners or Northerners are harder than Southerners? I mean, what do you really get out of a fight? Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Sometimes it's just not your day. And then to say, not literally a fight, but a boxing match. Of course, there always has to be money involved. There always has to be some type of monetary gain, right? The clout's not going to buy your kid diapers, right? You need to get money out of the situation. I understand it, man. That's some hustler, homie. You're not a customer crony. Got some dirt on my shoulder. Can you dust it off, folks? Right? I get it. I get it. But at the same time, when it comes to the Norteños and the Southsiders or Sureño movements, this is nothing to play with. This is a lot of realness, okay? You have had guys that have made the ultimate sacrifice that are doing life in prison behind them walls, never to see their family, never to touch or hug their loved ones. Guys that have done 30 years plus in the SHU program when they were doing indeterminate SHU programs. Guys that made ultimate sacrifices for their beliefs. Okay, people who have lost their lives out on the streets as well as behind them walls, behind the North and South. Riots, melees, stabbings, packings, assaults, anything you could think of. It's serious business. It's as serious as it gets. When you're around someone who's educated and who's an OG, who's been doing it for a long time, and you mention Norteños or Southsiders, they look around. I'm telling you, man, it ain't no laughing matter. Not at all. It's not a laughing matter because it's for real. So nowadays in 2026, you got social media guys calling each other out. You literally got guys saying, hey, let's fight in the ring from North and South. I never knew North and South to be played with like that. I understand the disrespectful part of the gang banging and all that. That goes hand in hand with the streets and barrios and just gang members being having pride and being, feeling more superior than others. But as far as going into a ring in 2026 and North and South, now, albeit that probably would be a good thing if you have something you want to get off your chest, just like in the neighborhoods and the barrios, throw on the gloves with your homeboy, man. Catch that quick fade, that friendly fade, and then go your own ways. Cool up. You got to cool it now. Do the new edition and cool it now, right? But there would never be no cool it now between Thumpz and Compa Raider. You have someone who's representing something much bigger than himself in Thumpz, which is the Norteño movement. Because when it all comes down to it, it's just not Thumpz representing himself. That dude, Compa Raider, called him out basically and the whole Norteño movement saying, I want to see you. You got a lot to say. You're disrespectful. Let's do that. And then you got Thumpz replying, run that. But not only run that, he said that he'll run it with every Southerner. There ain't someone that can see him from that side. Look, we all got our demons, man. We all got people we can't fuck with. Let's just keep it real. But the pride of that man, the confidence in that dude, you got to respect it, right? Now, let's get to the real question at hand. Will the Norteños clear this fight? Will the Southsiders clear this fight? And what do I mean by clear the fight? See, when you're in the business, when you're in the mix at a different level than just street gang banging, You have to go through a clearance process and everything. If you're going to go to prison and function as a Norteño, you have to be cleared in that household. You're not just going to be embraced, because you said you're a Norteño. You have to show basically a resume of what you've done and what you're willing to do. Okay, and there's a clearance process to see if you are in good standings, to see if you are eligible to even get that embracement and be awarded that canalismo, that backup, that protection, that spot on the yard. Are you going to be trusted within the household to handle business and function accordingly and professionally? These are things that are questions that are asked. Who you are, why you are, where you come from, what you've done. The 5 W's, things that are asked of you to kind of get a measure of your ability to assist the casa, the household, when push comes to shove. And believe me, push does come to shove in the prison yard. And the same thing goes for the streets. You don't want a homeboy hanging around in your barrio that ain't really worthy. Albeit a lot of people get away with it. It just is what it is. A lot of people that don't put in work, they happen to grow up in the neighborhood. They're embraced from a young age, man. They're homeboys. And then as they grow up into a poop butt, a Rudy poop butt, right? But they're still from the neighborhood. So you are kind of basically forced to look out for them, to back them up. Now, when you go to prison, it's every man stands for himself. So everything you've done up until that point is going to be on your resume and it's going to speak for itself, right? So that's the clearance process, being cleared. Now, I don't know how the Southerners do their clearance process because I've never went through that, but I've been through the Norteño clearance process a gang of times, and I can tell you it's pretty extensive. One of the greatest things in life is going to be having your children, right? It's going to be a good thing. And after that, if you're a Norteño, it's going to be getting cleared in a household because you know just how hard that is. Now, I don't know how it is exactly. Nowadays, I can't really speak on the politics to that because I don't know. Things have changed, right? But during the time I was doing prison time, it was a hard process to clear. You could be the most solid homeboy, never fucked up, don't got no bad cases, always stood on your 10, always stood on your business, handled business, and still you're going to get questioned, because that's just the way Norteños do it. You're only as strong as your weakest link, believe me, and motherfuckers are trying to apply pressure to break you. That's just how that goes. So Thumpz did time behind the walls as an active Norteño and did parole in good standings, is still embraced within the movement, still embraces the movement. Now, I know a lot of people nowadays, man, are not with the gang banging, and I get it, man. I'm not sitting here saying gang banging is the best thing to do in the world, but if you're going to do anything in life, whether it's gang banging, working, going to church, raising your children, whatever you're doing in life, do it to the fullest. Do it to the fullest. Get yours, right? And I believe Thumpz is doing that. Now, I've only seen him keep it respectful, but he does have a distaste for the Southsiders, kind of like Neil Dezad has a distaste for the Northerners, right? Is Thumpz more vocal with it? He's making rap music. He's disrespecting people. I think it's more just to push his product or his movement on social media. I don't think this guy really hates Southerners to the point that he just wants to get off on them anytime he sees them. But there was an incident, a while back where he did throw the slap. He slapped the heartbeat. Literally, the heartbeat, man. It was crazy. You got to respect it. You got to respect it. That man seen an op walking out of the gas station, the mini mart, wherever it was, man, and slapped the soul, man, out of him. Now, whether that dude was a Southsider or a Paisa or whatever, they just had words. People immediately posted it on the internet, man, and made it into something bigger than it probably was. All it merely was to me, man, was two men that didn't agree, and one got the bejesus slapped out of him. That's it. Thumpz could have been more crazy and put the hands on him. All he did was slap the taste out of his mouth. You know what I'm saying? He slapped the grape jelly out of his jam, and that's just how that was. Now, I have not seen Compa Raider fight, and I have not seen Thumpz fight. So I don't know, man, who would win. The reason why I'm doing this video is a lot of people ask me questions. Hey, Gun, who do you think's going to win? I didn't even know they were going to fight. And then I started doing my little research and looking it up and saying, can this be possible? In 2026, can a Norteño and a Southsider really get it sanctioned to go in a ring and fight? Now, when I fought Cholo Trucker, he was in good standings, but not really into the gang shit. I already, man, everyone knew was not a gang member, but I was from Northern California, and a lot of people made it into a Northern California, Southern California thing. It was not that. It was literally two content creators from YouTube getting in the ring. One happened to live in Northern California. One happened to live in Southern California or grow up there, and that was that. Okay, this is different. These are guys that are proclaiming to be in good standing. These are guys that if they went to prison, they would function on the yards with knives against each other. Okay, so this is a little bit of a different atmosphere and area and mountain to climb. So I asked myself, do I honestly believe in 2026 it's possible the Norteños, knowing the Norteño movement, not the Southern movement, Surge, but the Norteño movement, will they clear for an active Norteño to fight an active Southsider? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't think it will ever happen, this fight. And I'm going to explain to you why. First of all, like I said, the program is much bigger than one or two people. Okay. And right now, the Norteño movement and the Southerners are living within what is called the end of hostilities, basically a peace treaty. Documentation that was signed, whether it was a handshake or really signed by two groups, two organizations that have decided, man, being out there, maintaining their spot on that yard, and being able to get those visits, being able to get those packages, being able to get those trailer visits, being able to do all that means much more than rotting away in an indeterminate shoe cell, right? And I agree. It does, it sure does, right? And you're talking about guys that starved themselves for several months, doing all kinds of different things, to achieve winning this court case and even coming to an agreement of an end of hostilities. Foes turns to not literally friends, but foes that put everything to the side to function on the yards for a greater cause, for their cause. So a fight like this between an active Norteño and an active Southsider could stir up drama, bullshit. And believe me, things do extend behind those walls. What happens if Thumpz knocks Compa Raider out or vice versa? What happens if it escalates into a melee? Because best believe Thumpz would pull up with his people and Compa Raider's going to pull up with his people. And, it could escalate. Maybe they don't want to carry themselves in a professional manner. Maybe it gets a little bit gangsterish, right? Maybe they get into some gangster shit, right? Maybe, someone gets punched on, man, and the police have to pull up, right? Like, you just never know. So that in itself right there can create and stir up some bullshit that could extend to behind those walls, and everything that these guys sacrifice, food strikes, hunger strikes, doing time the way they did it, everything that they went through, the struggle and the strive can all be thrown to the wayside, all because two guys can't get along. And the cool part is I've never heard Thumpz disrespect Compa Raider. In fact, I seen on the No Paperwork podcast when they were discussing about Compa Raider wanting to fight Thumpz, they didn't disrespect that man. They said they don't know. That man might be with the business out of respect. You know what I mean? And Thumpz didn't disrespect him. And I didn't see Compa Raider disrespect him either. He's just basically like, I'll take that fade. If no one else will do it, I'll do it. So these are two respectable young gentlemen, man. Both physically fit, both healthy, that are willing to get in the ring. Now, hey, it's easier to talk about it than to do it. And I just honestly don't believe the gangs or the groups it's in their best interest to allow these two individuals to fight. And to fight for what? What are you proving? Who's harder? You can't prove that. There's never going to be that, right? Look, man, respects for even agreeing to take that fade. But there's other fish to fry. And that's straight up for reals, right? I do not ever in any type of real world see Norteño sanctioning this and letting it happen. Agreeing to let a Norteño fight a South, not because they're punks or they're scared, but because it's not in the best interest of the movement. That's individualism. When you let one individual's program, fuck up the big program, then that's not good. I've seen people whacked for that, right? Now, as far as Compa Raider goes, man, hey, even though he doesn't like me and I don't really care for him like that, I'm not going to disrespect him. I don't know who would win. He might win. Shit, he might do his thing. I've heard Thumpz got hands. I've never seen him other than a slap. That motherfucker had that dude like, he slapped the fuck out of that dude, right? I've seen that, but I've never seen these guys in the gym. I've seen them in the gym working out, but I've never seen them in the gym working it out, right? So I don't know. But I'm here to tell you, as a once participating Norteño at a different degree and level, I'll say, man, I don't see it ever happening. If it does, it's going to blow my mind, man. This is 2026. Anything's possible, but these dudes don't look like the Island Boys or Charleston White. I don't think there's going to be any amount of money that's going to make them put their beliefs to the side, but everybody has a price for the $1 million man. So you just never know. They could fuck around and this could turn into something bigger and better. Look, if these motherfuckers can't even collab, North and South, if they can't even collab on a rap song, how the fuck they gonna collab in a boxing ring? I'm just saying. Anyways, with that being said, who do you think would win if they did fight? If I had to put my money on it, like this was my last dollar, and I had to put my money on it, right? I'm gonna take Thumpz, right? I'm gonna take Thumpz, not because he's from up north. I know what you guys are saying, man. Oh man, it's because he's from up north. Raider, the yay and all that is what fucks it up for me with him, right? That's it. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people, man. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors in Turlock, California. If you're in the Turlock area, go over there and get you something cold to drink. Something nice and icy, man. Hey. Go get you something, right? Right there in Turlock, California, Vario Liquors. Also, by Stitch and Stone Yard Service out there in Tucson, Arizona. If you're in the Tucson area, we need to support our small local raza businesses. Go have them cut your grass, man. That Vato's going to hook you up. And look out for them. That's what's up. Bang, bang.